Welcome to the December 20th, 2022 regularly scheduled city council meeting. That was our call to order, and pledge of allegiance is going to be Councilor Nichols tonight is going to do the leading.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Bergman. Nichols.
Here.
Osborne. Here. Siegel.
Here.
Schmaltz.
Here.
Jeff did call in and say that he wasn't feeling up to it tonight. Number 4 is approval of the December 20th, 2022 agenda, please.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5, approval of the December 6th, 2022 regular and special meeting minutes.
Make that motion for that special meeting. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Tonight, we have Iowa Metal Recyclers. It is Kristen and her husband,
Trent.
Sorry, I didn't know your first
No
name.
problem.
We had sent them out a nuisance abatement. They're across the street. It does say in our code of ordinances that for their type of business, metal recycling, that it can't be above the fence line. And we started getting some complaints. Building inspector / code enforcer Steve sent out a letter, and then they called. They do have the opportunity to present to council. And if you guys would like to come up to the podium and.
Sure. Would you like us both to come up at the
That would
same
be great.
time? Okay.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm Kristen Tompkins, my husband Trent. We're from Iowa Metal Recycling across the street. Received this notice last week regarding, it looks to be the pile that's alongside the road now. In the last few weeks, it has gotten a little bit higher than it had been in years past. This is our first interaction with the city of Evansdale, and so I had swung past here one day to kind of see what it all meant, and so we're just here tonight to kind of get some more information and see what we need to do to be agreeable with the city of Evansdale. We have been here approximately 10 years and have a great relationship with the city as well as our clients. Do a lot of business between these four corners here with the bank and Casey's and Ted's and whatnot, and a lot of residents of Evansdale and this kind of neck of the woods, and wanted to see what we need to do to be in agreement with the city and just keep things amicable and what exactly this notice entailed.
Steve?
So basically what I did was we had multiple complaints from different citizens and just people coming through town asking questions about it. So what I did was I just checked our ordinance to see what it is for commercial, and that's when I found out the ordinance states that it has to be kept below your fence.
Okay.
You can have an 8-foot high fence, but it states we're not supposed to be able to see it above the fence line. And that's, I made a copy of it and I sent it to you.
Right. Yep.
So, and then you said that you were gonna come in and talk to the council, and that's
Yes.
kind of where we're at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, we're not debating anything, we're trying to get information here. We're not arguing with the city, we
Yeah,
just
I totally understand that, ma'am.
didn't
Yeah.
understand and was told this is our best way to discuss. In years past, our large pile that's moved and kind of relocated towards the front has been at the far rear of our building, or property, I should say. Have the complaints been more recent? I'm not sure who gets the complaints. Have the complaints been more recent? We kind of moved it there because we were having a problem with people dumping things in the wrong location, because things are, even though it's hard to make this type of industry look neat, tidy, and organized with what we're dealing with, but our guys keep everything very organized, and we were having a problem with people unloading in the wrong section because it's separated, you know, whether it's stainless steel or aluminums or just kind of your general steel shred items. And so we relocated this because obviously it's our most common area for people to unload. And we moved it just because they were throwing all this stuff and getting it all mixed up, and then our guys would have to go there and, you know, touch and resort everything. Would it be better for us if that area was not so close to the road? I mean, obviously we'll bring down the height, but if we relocated that sort of not along that main Evans Road there, do you feel like that would, where it's not getting people's attention as much there?
Right, I mean, you know, they come into town, you know, we have quite a bit of traffic, going south here on Evans, and, you know, and that's probably been the comment probably most frequently heard was, wow, you're just coming into town, and all of a sudden, you know, we have a, you know,
Recycling
recycling center right here,
yeah.
that, yeah. So I would say, yeah, I would say
Okay.
that more so than anything, and, and of course, I know, you know, some of what you guys have been going through, just because I've heard it through the grapevine or whatever, you know, I mean, it's not bringing a lot of money right now too, so it's not like, you know, want to get rid of it, but it just doesn't seem like we've experienced this in the past. You know, it's been at a certain level, but this one, it was like, just all of a sudden, it was like,
Yes.
oh.
We did kind of raise it up in the last few weeks where the markets have fallen quite a bit on that type of material, where we couldn't really afford to move it at the time because the markets have just steadily been falling. But we tried to condense it because of snow, and we were anticipating having to move snow in there so that, you know, trucks and stuff could
Yeah, right.
but in the since we received this letter, we've been moving loads out consistently throughout the day and bringing that down. But
Yeah.
we also kind of discussed, well, we relocated this pile kind of where it's easier to access for, you know, just everyday customers that come in and don't really know what their, you know, material is, just to make it easier for them. But possibly relocating it to
Well, it's also-
the rear of the property.
It's also a benefit, obviously, as being a business for, you know, if you're selling a cheeseburger and you have a huge cheeseburger sign,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, yeah, I can get a cheeseburger. So it's, you know, it's easy. It's somewhat of a benefit to us. Like she said, we moved it for that reason originally, but also to rework the back of that property. We had a lot of theft where in the back there, I'd be working and I'd see the fence smacking. Or somebody went around the back and unscrewed the fence and, you know, crawled through. So I try to keep, you know, let's just keep stuff away from there. And as far as, have you had many complaints with like sheets towing? Because they're kind of out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah,
And they're
and-
pretty high too up there.
That will be someone, they're on our radar.
Because 8 foot, I came in and had a meeting with the city council about 8 years ago about putting the fence up. And that was never brought up when I had the meeting. And we will try our best, obviously, to keep everyone happy, but 8 foot probably comes in a day on average, you know. I mean, we have probably 130 commercial accounts with tubs. So sometimes it comes in faster than we can move it. I know it may not look like it from this end of the road, but we've hauled about 20 truckloads of material out of that pile. So roughly, it's about 400 ton.
Wow.
And since we've gotten a note, and obviously we got a long ways to go.
I definitely seen you've been working over here with
Yeah, we
about
are.
that. I guess the biggest thing that, what I would bring up too is that if you decide to move the pile, council's gotta understand that wherever they move that pile to, it's gonna be over the fence. So council needs to decide how you wanna handle that. Are you gonna allow them to have so much time? Are you gonna allow them to be over the fence? Because I know you're bringing up, the junkyard over there. So my next task is gonna be that junkyard. So when I start dealing with that junkyard, And then they come down here next and they're like, well, we found out you told the metal scrappers that, you know, they can stay 12 feet over the fence, but now you're on us because I'm 5 cars high and I only should be 3.
Right, and we definitely don't want to start pointing fingers at, you know.
You're not,
Right.
believe me. It's just,
Yeah. And if we
everything's
move-
coming to realm.
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah, I mean, and if, my plan is to, like she said, we should kind of strategically move that pile for more than one reason, but, you know, my next step was to maybe move that pile back originally anyway, but I want to do concrete work back there to help just with, you know, it's a rough.
Easier to load,
Yeah, I mean, we're,
much easier.
I could put $100,000 worth of rock down on that property every year and it would just disappear.
Yep.
You know, I'm tracking on with big equipment and,
Right.
but my plan is to, you know, knock this one down as much as possible and kind of eventually 100% deplete this and then kind of relocate. But, I mean, any, you know, like I said, I don't want to point fingers, but there's many places around that. I mean, if 8 foot is the limit, it's going to be tough for a lot of people.
Is the 8 foot something that is negotiable, like if you present and have like a discussion or a vote on that, or is that 8 foot is sort of like this standard limit?
I mean, that's totally up to council. I mean, that would be something we'd have to do by either ordinance or, you know, they may request you to get a variance, you know, let the variance board, you know, hear it.
So
I know
where we're
that-
planning on moving the pile, in case you guys don't know, like, we're saying to the back of the property, you're going, "Where's the back of the property?" I mean, but,
Is it more to the
east, the very, very,
So to the
very
east.
east
So
corner.
we-
So down
On the other side of your
technology,
building.
yeah, down past
And,
there.
you know, like, I understand the 8 foot, because that's, depends on where you're looking at the pile also. I mean, if you're coming down the road from here and you look east, I mean, you would probably see a 6 foot pile, or a 4 foot pile, just because of the fence and, kind of, you know, off in the horizon a little bit, and,
Yeah.
I guess we wanna obviously we don't want people upset, and I understand what people are saying, you know, she's kinda always been around the business, but she got involved with the business in the last 6 years, and she always was, it's just junk, but, you know, there's a lot more to it, now she understands the business, and, you know,
Yeah.
there's, you know,
It's
what
a
kinda.
pile of money is what I told the mayor earlier.
Well, and it
It's
keeps,
just when
you
the
know,
money's
Well, it
good
was
to move.
dwindling for a while.
When the
as
money's
I-
good to move, it's good to move, but when it's not good to move, it's not good
right,
to move.
and no pity party whatsoever, but, you know, like, you know, during COVID, we were essential business because obviously everything you see is some part of metal, and, we did obviously have the pile up really high because the markets were bad. They're a little better, you know, but like I said, you don't know what's gonna happen, and,
Exactly, everything's different.
yeah, so we're just looking,
As far as this industry goes, like I said, you know, it's hard to make this stuff look nice. We do
Yeah.
try and keep our area looking as nice as possible
Right.
and keep it cleaned up. And we want our neighbors around us to be happy.
Your location's tough, is what the problem is.
right.
It's a tough location
Yeah,
for
we're not
your
secluded.
industry.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's the average, length of time that pile's over 8 feet?
I guess right now we kind of tried to condense it down smaller, so we had kind of some spots to shove snow with it coming. And also right now, steadily since April, it's the prices of the material. So our markets fluctuate just like stock markets, your fuel prices. And so typically the steel market will go monthly. And since April, it was consistently down 20 or 30 a net ton per month. And so that, so let's say a net ton is 2,000 pounds. And so $20 or $30 doesn't sound like much, but one semi-trailer is 40,000 pounds typically of material. And so, you know, $30 a net ton on one semi-load, that makes a difference. So right now, we're kind of sitting on it because it was just consistently falling and.
Well, for 7 months, I mean,
Yeah.
it literally dropped as much in 7 months as what it's worth now.
Mhm.
So essentially, you know, we took a pile that was this high and that deep and went back and went higher within the last month. That's, you know, that's why it went up, you know, 10 or 15 foot because of those multiple reasons, but, yeah.
When do you, I know you're talking about the market, I don't know if you're asking, right, when do you think the pile may get moved to have it down lower? I know you're not gonna have a crystal ball, but.
We're working on that every day.
Where are we looking at, I mean, I figure, I mean, we can work with it, we wanna be a city of good neighbors, I mean.
Yeah.
And I'd hate to let it go by and in 6 months, we've got the same thing, and
Oh,
the
no,
same
no,
people
no.
are coming to us complaining. If we understand there's a workable deal there and a time limit, I don't have a problem with working with it.
Yeah, we're working on it every day, like I said. You know, we've hauled out approximately 400 tons since we got the letter. I don't know how much is left to get it down. When we're trying, we're moving it every day as fast as we can. With equipment trouble and weather.
Well, and now with the holiday kind of, you know, with
Yeah, right.
Christmas and New
Yeah.
Year's in here, but, I mean, we're consistently working on bringing the level down, you know, throughout the days now. We are loading material
I would say we
out.
could get this pile pretty close to, you know, the 8-foot level. Probably, I would say, what, a month. And that's hauling, I mean, that's hauling every day. You know, truck comes in, gets loaded, he's gone, the other truck backs up, gets loaded, and they just keep going like, you know, like this. We were able to get about, with no problems, 4 or 5 loads a day. So, with no problems, we'll be able to knock this down, hopefully within about a month, and then when spring comes around next year, you know, we'll try our best to really keep it down up here, and obviously then move it to the back and still work on keeping it down. But then I think we hadn't had any complaints yet up until just recently when I really piled it up high. But we get it back there and we control it a little better. I feel we'll have a better response from the community. Or
Well,
from-
and again, we didn't mean anything by, you know, piling this material up. We didn't know that we were, breaking any, you know, codes or anything, and we certainly don't want any issues and weren't trying to cause up any.
The height of the fence, is that the inside or the outside?
Excuse me?
Height of the fence, is that from the roadside?
It's, yeah, so basically, when we go up there, I measure from the ground to the top of the fence, it's 8 foot.
So if you dug 3 foot out on the inside, you'd still be,
I get your point, yeah, I get your point. But he's got so much concrete and stuff back, that's not really an option for them. I mean, I would feel like if the city were, if they might have to bring something to the city saying, hey, we'd like to go 12 foot, and this is the option, this is what we could do. Maybe the council would entertain something like that, but I guess what I'm saying is, he's saying in 30 days, he's gonna have to pile at 8 foot, but you have to operate every day. So
Right.
eventually, I mean, it's gonna be a battle for you. So,
It's gonna, it's in, with weather and everything else, it's a constant battle. Like I said, I mean, it's coming in, it's not coming in as fast as we're moving it out, obviously.
Well, especially
But
right now with the, you know,
Yeah.
it's cold, and so
Yeah. The
we get a lot
scrappers
more
ain't
foot
working as
traffic
much.
in the summer as opposed to when it's
Yeah.
4 degrees, but.
And the other thing that's kind of, that may not work in our favor, is some of these places may just shut us off.
mhm, yeah, because you're bringing too much in.
Right, I mean, because it's not, these mills have so much power that they control the markets. You know, they say, well, we're not buying from you, we're not buying from you, we're not buying from you, we're gonna use up all of our own inventory. And then we'll relook at this, and if that would happen, and we have a problem, I could relocate, start moving stuff back to that east, very, very east side of the property. I don't think that's gonna happen because, I haven't understood the markets up until now, at all. But, I mean, you can see that there's building going on everywhere.
Yeah, it's
And
bouncing
you know, with this
back.
new infrastructure deal, I mean, this stuff should be, people should be begging for the material, and it's
Right.
just not that way.
Right.
In the future, when you just run your normal business and you're operating at your normal time, is that something you can maintain, that pile at a nice height, so it's not as high in a normal operation?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. And, you know, I kind of like what you said about like coming up with a height and, you know, if we get beyond that, you say, hey man, you got a week, you gotta get this knocked down. We're just, in most cases, we're chasing our tail because, you know, you're buying $4 copper and then it drops 30 cents the next day, but you just bought 30,000 pounds the day before, you know, so you're trying to, it's like we get caught up here and then it's just normal business stuff, everybody has that
The
problem.
majority of us are businessmen, so we have I totally understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, and everyone has that problem, so I'm not trying to make an excuse at all.
The ordinance that governs the 8-foot fence, that's just a commercial property ordinance.
It's
in general.
commercial, correct.
It's gonna affect everything, commercial, industrial, it's gonna do it all.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, for commercial industrial, it's 8 foot.
Just,
So if you were to change it to 12, you would change it to 12 for everybody in commercial and industrial, not residential.
Yeah.
Residential would still say the max of 8 foot, but if you were to change it, you would change it for commercial and industrial.
and what kind of, you know, potential mess would we out if we looked at the variance? Because again, you do it for one.
You're
you have to
gonna,
do it
you're
for
gonna,
all.
you're gonna help their business, you're gonna help the junkyard business. We don't really have too many other businesses around there,
That's gonna affect, right?
yeah, that it's gonna affect. It's mainly those two businesses over there that are gonna really make it easier for their business. And there are different things. I know we're talking about the junkyard and we're talking about the scrapyard. There's different rules for those too. Junkyard has different rules than what the scrapyard does. That's probably unfair, but somewhere somebody had thought that was a good idea. So there is different ordinance for a junkyard, but the fence height doesn't change. So by you doing something like that or changing the height, you're gonna benefit their business and you're gonna take care of some of the problems that we're having with the junkyard. Not all of them, but some of them.
What are the drawbacks that you can see right up?
The
front?
future. I mean, we've got so much stuff going on the other side of town. You got those trucking companies with all those buildings they built over there. And then next thing you know, they're like, well, you know, maybe we want to start storing all our equipment back here and we want to close it off so no one complains about our equipment. Well, if they're commercial industrial, they can have a 12-foot fence too. So then you have 12-foot fences over there by Dollar General, Casey's, Quick Star. So, I mean, you got to weigh out both ends. It's,
Why can't we look at it, Mayor, give like a 30-day review
Yeah,
and
that's
see
what
what happens?
I would even say 45 because of the holidays.
Yeah, yeah.
they're definitely
You know,
moving. I mean, we've seen
Yeah,
progress just since
Yeah,
the
we're
wedding been out.
actively trying
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
remedy this and we'll
We
continue.
don't wanna be in a hardship either.
Yeah,
And this
well,
is-
we
you know-
appreciate you discussing it.
And this is not, I mean, obviously you already said this isn't targeted at any specific industry, business person or
Sure.
something. Basically, what this council has done this year is where our nuisance ordinances and abatement process and things had, for whatever reason before, had kind of been put on pause or not thought of high priority. It has come back around, and as of right now, and please correct me anyone on council if I'm speaking for you incorrectly, that we've decided that, okay, if we've got the ordinances, we've had enough, we should probably do something about it.
Sure.
So, you are correct in mentioning, you know, any other properties adjacent to that. We've had several residential ones that have already gone through. It's a slow process. We are not looking to single anybody out. Believe me, if you're out as of right now, if you're out of compliance, you'll probably be hearing from our code enforcement at some point.
Yeah, and sure, we did not think that this was like any
No.
singled out
Yeah.
and we, again, just wanna make it, you know, great with everybody.
And our goal is not to, at least I feel, the goal is not to penalize. The goal is to make you aware of the situation. If it's something we want to have kept around, the businesses and good relationships, hey, here's what it is, here's our ordinance, we've got to come up with a plan.
Sure.
And in my opinion, and I'm one of five, I will say just that, so in my 20%, as long as we are making good progress and moving forward to address the problem, that's at least what I have.
Yeah,
I'm
we
not here to
appreciate
create a
that.
hardship on
Yeah.
anybody,
Right.
but we do have to see progress, we do have to have action.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, in our industry, you know, a lot of people look at us as like a Sanford and Son, you know, type business. And that's the last thing I want is for anybody to think that we don't take care of our property or care about the community or anything like that. You know, like, for instance, you know, when it's raining, we track a lot of mud. Well, I had a broom on order, a hydraulic broom to go on my skid loader to clean the road in front of our place, but obviously certain things you just can't get.
Scraping works just fine.
Right, yeah. You know, it's just, little things like that. I don't know, I don't like really like scraping my own stuff and creating marks, but I mean, if you're okay with that,
We allow the construction industry, when they work on the streets and they go through subdivisions, we allow them to go out there with a skid loader and a blade and just scrape it all off.
okay. Yeah, so, you know, I guess my point is I want to, as much of a look that we can keep in the type of industry we're in, you know, we want to have that as much as possible.
Like I said before, it's location.
Yep.
Location,
Yeah.
yeah.
I know.
You guys are, your location is great because you got the roads coming in and out. It's easy for your trucks to come in and out, but you're also at one of the main entrances of the city. That's the problem you're running into.
Which is, you know, good and bad.
It is. It's
People
good
see
for you
like,
guys
oh, I
because they can get
really
in and
should,
out.
but,
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the city is, they're trying to grow, they're trying to improve.
right.
And then you got an area over here that looks really good, and then like I'm gonna come the back way to see, it's like, oh, what's this?
Sure.
So
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's affecting your industry and your business.
Yeah, I know we've talked about even relocating to something, you know, not kind of more off the beaten path. We like where we're at, so.
It's a good area for you
So-
guys. You can get in and out with trucks.
So, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, all right. I think that's all we had, so.
Excellent.
So then just formally setting the next steps?
45
days. Yeah.
45 days.
Okay, so in 45 days, would you like us to attend the meeting again to kind of get an update on
Yeah.
I guess
what
my-
we're doing,
The
or?
last question I have is, you know, as far as seeing the pile, if you're staying on a ladder at the 8-foot fence, you know, is that the ordinance or is it from standing over here?
The ordinance should be from standing at 8 foot and looking at a clear path,
Okay.
because I agree with you. If I'm standing up somewhere high, I see a lot more. If I'm standing somewhere low and looking up, I see a lot more. So the way
Right.
the ordinance should read is at the top of that 8-foot fence, if I were to go there and stand on a ladder, across it.
Okay.
That's the way it should read.
That way I kind of also have an idea,
Yeah.
you
It is
know,
hard to, because otherwise.
because I'm
you
working,
can see
you know,
everything.
15 foot in the air and, you know, the fence is down here, you know, you can get out and look, but it's still not the same
Yeah.
view.
People are always gonna see your pile because they're gonna be coming from this road, they'll be coming from this road, it's always gonna be seen, but if we just explain to them, they're in compliance. So they're allowed to have a pile, they're in compliance. And they're an industry, they're working, you have to deal with it.
Well, like I said, we've been and we'll keep going as fast as we can.
And now that 12-foot thing,
That's something that they're gonna
variance,
have to.
yeah, is that something that will be discussed, or is that, do we need to make a request for that to be discussed?
Well, in order for us to discuss, as council, maybe that'd be something that council would consider, maybe, amending our ordinance, you know, to accommodate that, maybe even 10 foot.
Sure,
You know, and that would be something that have to be actually on the agenda for us to discuss.
So how does that
Do we
work?
make a request for that, or you guys kind of just talk amongst yourself?
Yeah, we would just put it on the agenda just to see
Kinda how
discussion,
thoughts
possible
work.
action.
Yeah.
On, you know, is this something you guys want to consider, or, you know, should we?
Sure, 'cause
refer
it-
to-
I guess my other question, now that you brought that up, is, I mean, we're a scrap yard, or we're also a junk yard. We have our automobile recycling license as well. You know, 8 foot's just kind of a hard one because, you know, the pumpkin farm brings us a school bus that they shoot pumpkins at every year. Well, that's 10 foot right there.
Right.
You know, so if he pulls that in, am I out of ordinance until I try to smash it, or, you know, I guess that's one of my questions, you know, something like that.
That's something we'd have to juggle ordinance a little bit and just see, because for junkyard, the way I believe the ordinance reads, I'll have to double check it, is if you're claiming junkyard, you're claiming a section as a junkyard, and you're claiming a section as a scrapyard. And I don't think, when I remember reading through the junkyard codes, it doesn't allow you to have a scrap pile any higher or anything.
Right,
But
and you
I-
said the same thing, or the same ordinance, fence height,
Yes.
whether you're a scrapyard or a
Yeah, there's something different with the junkyard about the way they store stuff. And that's something I can look into. I didn't realize that you had.
I know there's
license
a
at the
limit
junkyard
of
as
number
well,
of
too.
cars you
Correct.
can store.
Correct. Depending on how much acreage you have.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Are these ordinances available online?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like just
On
on
our
the,
website.
okay.
Yep, under the administration tab, the ordinances.
Okay. I think that's all from us.
Well, thank you, we appreciate it.
We probably ate up your 20 minutes there.
That's okay. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you guys, thanks.
I was gonna leave, council doesn't need anything from me. Good.
We're good.
Thank you. Merry Christmas, everyone.
You
Thank
too,
you,
thank
Merry
you.
Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, I'll be back before then.
Public discussion? Before we go into our approval of the consent agenda, the wastewater report obviously is on our consent agenda. And Keith had asked that he could go ahead and introduce the new wastewater treatment plant operator
Yes.
for the city.
Yeah, so this is Mike Nyman. He's been working with us for about 6 weeks now. He's got about 30 years of experience with the city of Cedar Falls, so he's got,
You want to come up here and
can too, yep. So he's got quite a bit of experience. We're excited to have him on the team here and looking forward to getting him involved with the treatment improvement project. And today we had a meeting in regards to that, and he will continue to keep picking up where Ryan left off in regards to the monthly reports. And if you guys have any questions, please pass those on to Mike or myself, and we'll do the best we can to answer those questions.
excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, Council.
So number 8 is approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 9, approval of the resolution calendar.
I make a motion to approve the resolution calendar as posted.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Nichols,
Yes.
Osborne. Yes. Siegel,
Yes.
Smock.
Yes.
Number 10 is request to take bids for the sale of 2013 Dodge Charger. Bids will be received until 4 p.m. on January 17th. Again, because of the holidays, we've had interest. We've had, I think, 2 or 3 people contact us already. And I did need to know what you guys want to set the minimum at.
Just as is.
As is.
I mean, my thought right off would be say 2,500. That's the kind of.
Starting, starting or ending?
Well, that's what I'd like. to
And
see.
I'd like to, yeah, a minimum bid. like,
Minimum bid of
You
the,
won't take less than that.
right. I think it'd be fair considering situation on the car.
Because we have 1,500 estimated about repairs. Some's normal maintenance, and then the others was wear and
Yes.
tear.
Yeah.
About 1,500, so that's $4,000, and then wasn't it just over 4 on the last charger one?
Yes,
42, 43?
or even.
Was it 4? Okay. Then I always put you in the ballpark.
I'd make a motion to minimum bid of 2,500.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 11, request from Cedar Valley Youth Sports Association to request funding in the amount of $900 for FY '23, approved by the Parks and Recreation Department. And the funds would be used from the Friday Night Rec Fund as budgeted. It was something that was already budgeted, and the Cedar Valley Youth Sports did go to a park board meeting and request those funds, and also, of course, of us. And, they will probably be, asking, going forward, maybe even in next year's budget. So, just so you have a little bit of radar on that, because we have done that in the past. So.
I just had one question, Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
This year's budget that we're gonna finalize and stuff though, are we doing away with the Friday Night Rec Fund under motel, hotel, or how are we gonna handle it?
We're just not doing it this year.
The one
There's
we're
no-
working on,
What's that?
the one we're working on?
I would assume that we will.
We will still do it?
I would assume we'll take it back up next budget year again.
Okay, all right.
Yep. We hadn't heard, I mean, obviously because of COVID,
Right.
that kind of threw that in the back. And one of the gals that used to do it in the past came in a couple weeks ago and asked if, we were getting it started. Well, those funds had already been redirected and approved by Parks, so we said not this year, so I'm believing that will, but it's gonna be reduced. I mean, it's gonna be, it's gonna be reduced down to maybe like 800, 700, 800, is what Parks has said.
I'd make a motion to approve that request then of the 900 from the motel hotel tax on the Friday night rec for the Cedar Valley Youth Sports Association funding.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 12, request from mayor to extend agreement with Fischel's Commercial Group through December of 2023. I know I've talked to a couple of you about that. We do have a couple things that are in progress right now, and keep moving forward. It's been, the past 2 years with our, economy and such, it's been a little bit difficult, but I'm starting to see things move, and I think it's gonna be a good agreement, so.
I'd make a motion for the request to approve the agreement until December 2023 unless council has any other thoughts.
I would second you, Steve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 13, request from mayor to extend agreement with Jim Benda on lots 1 and 3 at Eagles Landing. This is actually a request from me, because we're in the process of, we were gonna be closing. The agreement was only till the 30th of December, and we were gonna be closing on that, and we're not ready. We're not ready. I've got the development agreement, their attorney made some changes. Our attorney has reviewed, and we need to make some changes back to them as go, the whole back and forth thing, so.
What do they plan on putting on these lots?
Well, right now, it's gonna be, in the site plan, it's gonna be one, like a strip mall type building. It's a pretty nicely designed building. Of course, that will all come to you for approval. And it's gonna be 1 of 3. So on that lot, number 1, he's actually gonna have 4, his plan is to have 4 different businesses. So,
That's good.
yep, that's where we're at right now. So it's just like working out the fine details. And then, it may not even need that much time for this lot 1, but I would like to have some breathing room so we can get all of our opinions and, like on our first deal, it's like, we wanna make sure we're setting a precedent for the future lots, so.
I did have a chance to review the documentation the mayor was referring to, because I also had seen, because we had already moved it down the road once, of just, hey, we're still waiting, And I just wanted to make sure that we were actively having some form of progress, and I'm comfortable motioning to approve this request, knowing that it's actively moving forward, that it isn't just more of a wait and see. So I would make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 14, ordinance 686, amending Evansdale City Code, Chapter 147, Section 12, in its second reading.
I make that motion on ordinance 686, Evansdale City Code, Chapter 147, Section 12, second reading.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Nichols?
Yes.
Osborne? Yes. Siebel?
Yes.
Smock?
Yes. Sorry, Christine.
That'll be on the next agenda for the third reading. Mayor and council reports, I just want to mention, I found out great news today that we did get the dog park grant in the amount of $34,000 from Blackout Gaming. So pretty stoked about that, excited to move forward with that project in the spring. Also wanted to address if you guys wanted to continue meeting at 5:15 for budget, or if you just want to include budget on the meeting itself,
I'd like to have a separate meeting for budget discussion and then the regular council meeting myself, Mayor.
any other thoughts?
I'm impartial.
Okay. I mean, I don't mind the 5:15 meeting if you guys don't, and, you know, if we have to, we normally do throw an extra meeting in there in January anyway as well. You know, when we're getting closer to, not necessarily finalizing, but working things out. So we will meet at 5:15 on January 3rd. Also, before I get into the greetings part of it, found out yesterday our transmission went out of our bucket truck. Chris had reached out to Rear Forest Truck Repair Ramsey, which is another company, and K&M, besides going to Don, because it wasn't drivable. It actually, transmission went out in a quick start parking lot.
I seen it last night.
Yeah, so we
We're
had,
on record.
unfortunately, we had to have it towed.
Where did it go?
K&M,
Okay, then.
they're the only ones that would even consider looking at it, besides hauling it clear to Don's, which is a way.
Does Chris think that it's fixable or workable, or we don't know yet?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
I mean, we'll probably have to repair the transmission. It sounded like it will go in reverse, but it won't go forward, so it's an issue with probably with the clutch or what have you. Anyway, I will keep you abreast on that as soon as I hear anything, because obviously we're gonna get a quote first. And that being said, I wanna say Merry Christmas to you and your families, and I hope you have a great holiday.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Where were we at just on the new squad car? You know, we're talking obviously selling one and of course just whether other maintenance issues and stuff.
Yeah, and it didn't get to the agenda because, we didn't know what we were supposed to do, or what was our next step. So, and we didn't have really time to reach out to anybody as far as, you know, pros and cons. I know that, Tom Nichols had come in and he had talked to Ron about it, and, you know, one of the concerns that they had is, you know, like our SUVs right now, they're all-wheel drive. So, you know, they're constantly on. You don't have to put them in four-wheel drive, and I know it's a lot easier today. You don't have to shift and all that stuff, but it was a concern. You know, they would forget to take it out of four-wheel drive for whatever reason that would happen after they just, you know, had, you know, the bad weather or whatever. And since that's coming up, you know, we face that a lot, so. Anyway, yeah, next budget, or next meeting, yeah. Because I know that's something that we need to get,
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
down one and
Yeah.
we go down another without anything even on order because it's not gonna show up for a while.
yeah. Anything else, council? I'll take a motion to,
I'll make a
Adjourn.
motion to adjourn, and Merry Christmas to everybody.
Yes, Merry Christmas.
thank you.
I was waiting for you, Ron.
I'm gonna sit here and wait and see how long. You never paid by the hour, don't I? 30 minutes.